listening to the Flickcast, a pop culture podcast about stuff nerds love. I am Chris Ulrich, and joining me, of course, Joe Dilworth. Hello, Joe. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm doing marginally well. It's allergy season, and that's never any fun. So
seasonal allergies. Is that better than seasonal affective disorder? Do you get that up there in the Portland area?
In Portland, not so much. Seattle is worse for that because it's always they get a lot more rain and gray days than we do here in Portland. At least like spring and summer, we get a lot of bright sunny days. So
I'm trying to do it like some kind of weird British accent. We get a lot of rain up here, mate.
Yeah, well, no, I
apologize to all my British friends for that one.
Yeah, don't send the hate mail. Well, from what I understand, though, the Pacific Northwest, especially around Portland, our weather is fairly similar to London. So,
London town. It's a capital city, as they used to say.
It is, yes.
Speaking of London, London is probably very sad right now, I guess.
They are. I mean, Prince Philip, we don't need to go on and on about him because he was not our monarch, but...
was he anybody's monarch? He was just married to the Queen, technically. Here's what I don't understand. Was he in the line of succession? No, I didn't think so, right? So he could never be king. So if something happened to the Queen, it would be what's his face? Charles, right? Okay. See, that's all the British stuff I need to know.
Yeah, see? All I know is that he was 99, and we should all hope that.
Yeah, no kidding. 99
we live to be that long. That's really good.
And he seemed to be. I mean, the quality of life was pretty good until the end. Although it helps to be a rich white dude, but still.
Well, if you're an icon of some kind of country that has money, you're probably going to be well taken care of. So
you would think so, yeah. So anyway, let's hope we all live to be 99. That would be great.
Yeah, but my point is allergies suck. So there you go.
But take care of your allergies, kids. Wait,
that's right.
That's what I always tell people. Take care of your back. Your back will help you later. So.
Oh yes, yeah.
Anyway, so we were talking about movies and TV shows that we sort of watched when we were younger. And before we get to Falcon and Winter Soldier, do you want to talk about Wiseguy, and do you want to talk about because we were just like hitting on these like, oh, I love this show, because this all came up because we were talking about The Equalizer.
Yes.
Or we were talking about Andrew Marlowe, who wrote the movie End of Days. It was kind of a deep sort of a hole we fell into about Arnold Schwarzenegger Millennium films from the Y2K era, and then it's kind of a weird thing, but it's interesting because Andrew Marlowe, who wrote End of Days and also Air Force One, and what was the other thing? Hollow
Viper.
Man, which
Hollow Man.
Oh yeah, Viper. But then that sparked a conversation about he wrote Castle episodes. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. But so
I mean, we kind of started with Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen and ended up talking about the Silver Surfer and Crimson Tide. So you connect the dots.
You connect the dots. Yes. Yeah. The funny thing is that we can always tell. At least I could always tell a Tarantino movie just from hearing the dialogue, and I think probably a lot of people would agree with that. But also, as Joe pointed out. Wow, who's Joy? I don't even know who that is. Joe pointed out, you can also tell which parts of movies that Tarantino helped rewrite. And that's what brought up Crimson Tide, because the only true Silver Surfer is the Kirby Silver Surfer. That's all Tarantino polish, as you will. So, anyway.
I'll tell you, though, that scene made me go, maybe it's not so bad joining up to the Navy and being stationed on the submarine, because apparently they talk about comic books a lot. So
they have fights about comic books too.
Yeah. So I'm like, dude, I'm totally qualified for that. So
because you know about comic books, and you could also be part of a nuclear submarine crew.
Sure.
Well, it's one of those movies where there's always got to be, and this happens in other films too. And I don't know if it happens as much now, but it used to, where there's always a new guy, right? So it's like, who did you fuck to get on this ship? And so it's like you have to explain everything to the new guy, which of course is the surrogate for the audience, because the audience doesn't understand how sonar works, or how we're tracking this Akula class attack submarine or whatever. And so you gotta explain it. And the funny thing about that movie, Crimson Tide, is that there's also a couple of scenes or a couple of beats in the movie between Gene Hackman as the captain and Denzel as the executive officer, where Denzel is explaining stuff to the captain.
To the captain, yes.
That's why we maintained redundancy. He's like, I know what the fuck redundancy is. I'm a captain of a fucking nuclear submarine, dude.
Right.
I'm like, what?
I mean, that was the other takeaway. Anyway,
sorry, but
you don't actually
that was a pet peeve of mine.
Right. You don't have to actually know anything about submarines or anything, because
people will explain it to you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, well, they're really helpful to each other.
That was a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah.
Of movies back then. There's always got to be some explaining because they take the audience for granted. It's like we have to explain what's going on because people are too dumb to figure it out. It's like, no, they're not. And this piece of information, while important, is not so important that you have to just sit there and act like the characters are stupid. I don't know. That bothers me. Anyway,
well, that's kind of my thing with pilots, first episodes of shows, because you have two FBI agents that spend half the episode going, well, as you know, we have to read him his rights, and we have to do this, and we have to go buy the book. What book?
We can't just arrest people.
Yeah.
And you can technically just arrest people if you want to, but
yeah. So the audience knows what's going on. They spend half the episode explaining to each other that who should well know what is going on. That's why I kind of like the show Debris that's airing now. They've done none of that. They just started out like in situ, as they say. They started out on a mission, right. And they don't. He's like, what's it say on the such and such meter, and like blah blah blah, and they're like, well, as you know, that means they didn't do any of that. That was great. And I was like, oh, cool. They're just like,
yeah.
Hey,
I feel like at least some creators or writers or directors or whatever are not as worried about the overall intelligence of the audience. I mean, they assume that the audiences are more sophisticated, maybe, or some of them are at least, or they just don't worry about it as much. But right. I don't see that kind of thing because it was blatant in a lot of movies of like the 90s and the early 2000s. Like, we have to figure this out. And I feel like that was probably more studio interference than anything, because we have to make sure this broadly appeals to as many people as possible. We don't want the weirdos in middle America or whatever to not understand what's happening. It's like, it's a movie about submarines trying to blow the shit out of each other. I mean, it's not that hard to figure out.
Right.
We're not reinventing the wheel here. It's it's enemy below. I mean, they basically talk about all the movies that it's about. Again, I'm talking about Crimson Tide, which is one of my favorite submarine movies. But anyway,
well, it's like Bob in Michigan doesn't need to know like the intricate details of how to operate a nuclear sub, right? I mean,
Bob.
And honestly, those kind of details don't really serve the story. It's like I'm assuming if I'm watching a movie about life on a sub, there's going to be a lot of stuff they do as routine that I'm not going to understand, and I'm okay with that because I don't care about that. I want to see who wins the fight, and I want to see the character interactions, right? So those things are like, oh, come on.
I feel like maybe this changed also because of the internet. It's like, you want to know what it is? Look it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Google is your friend. Google is your friend. It'll tell you what the fuck I'm talking about.
Exactly.
But this also happens, oddly enough, in The Hunt for Red October, which of course is another submarine movie. There's the trainee sonar guy, right? And so Jonesy is explaining to the trainee, well, here's what we're doing, and then we run. He's like, and then I do this. It's like, yeah, correct, Seaman Beaumont. You just do that. And I don't know why I've seen this movie so many times, but I know everybody's name apparently, because that's important. And it's like, tell me about the mermaid. I saw an octopus eat a whatever or something. It's just like, what? Okay, so it happened a lot in old movies, and I think it really, and that's probably why I haven't seen it. I really do think it's the internet that just now people just can look shit up, and you don't have to explain anything. Maybe
I would hope so, because that just was like eye roll, and I'm like, that part I don't care about. I mean, the thing was though, it taught me that hey, I could run sonar on a sub because they'll just tell me how to do it as I go.
Exactly.
This will be great.
Well, there has to be. I mean, I suppose it's possible that they would put a new guy in the ship on the sub to learn stuff, and it's possible. But the other thing that's funny to me too is in Crimson Tide, it's like left to the only radio guy who's still alive, whatever, Vossler. It's like he's never worked on a radio before or whatever. He's like, there's always some new guy who's got to learn on the job. He's like, I know it's supposed to build tension and it's a ticking clock, etc. I get that, but I don't know. Maybe I should blame Tony Scott.
There's also like that leads into the trope of the guy they have to explain it to explain it to the audience being the one that figures out. It's like, sir, I'm hearing this noise. It's like, that's just seawater, blah blah blah. No, sir, I think it's like okay, yeah, he'd be the only one.
I think we got a leak in the ship.
Yeah, these seasoned veterans that have heard it all wouldn't go, well, that's a weird noise. Maybe we should check that out, right? So they would be dismissive because they're like, oh no, that's seahorses galloping off the coast of I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that prompted these thoughts in my mind, I'm rereading a Jurassic Park audiobook, And so I was thinking about the movie a lot. And then, of course,
Right.
the person in the movie that gets a lot of stuff explained to them is the lawyer, right? No one likes the blood-sucking lawyer. And so,
Yes.
and of course, there's an entire beginning of the movie where Hammond explains everything to everybody. And there's even a video that explains everything. How does genetic design work? Well, we find amber and we kind of,
Dinosaurs.
dinosaur DNA. And it's
Yeah.
like, thank you, Steven Spielberg. I mean, I realize it's a difficult concept, genetics and all that, but it's like, wow. So not only was there a newbie guy who didn't understand things, although he was the lawyer for the entire InGen company or whatever, representing the investors, and of course he didn't understand genetics at all. But then they had a video explaining everything, and Hammond is explaining everything too. But you know what? For some reason, Richard Attenborough does it. It doesn't bother me. So
Well, that's true. But here's the thing, though. If you're going to make up some kind of like branch of science or something, or extrapolate from current science, I'm just saying, especially if you're in a kind of fantastical movie, you might not want to outline it in too much detail.
yeah,
You know?
here's how you could really do it.
Right. Well,
Well, if
just
you
that,
can,
just that you're kind of like beholden to that for that movie and the rest of your sequels. So it's like, man, maybe you should like do kind of some hand wavy, glossy stuff there, and then let it develop as your movies develop. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be a Michael Crichton thing, though, because Michael Crichton was big on here's how the science could work. It's like I'm taking
Well, that's
current
true.
technology, which is why I loved his books and still do. He takes current stuff and says, if you just extrapolate out, this is what's possible. Because if cloning works, why couldn't you clone a dinosaur? I mean, you could, right? If you could find
Sure.
its DNA. Could you grind up the bones that you find and extract DNA from that? I don't know, maybe.
They're trying to do that right now. So, hey. Although I didn't really understand his explanation of how time travel could work in that one book.
Yeah, and that was a pretty terrible movie. I think that was a Peter Hyams movie, too.
I think it was. You're right.
Because we're
It was
talking about
actually
end
a
of
pretty good
days. And
book. Yeah. End of days, which should have been ended. I don't know. I don't know.
have you ever seen End of Days? Yeah, it's not very good. So. Anyway, it wastes a lot of people. Kevin Pollak, it wastes him. Gabriel Byrne, it wastes him. I mean, even Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, what am I doing in this movie?
Yeah, he was kind of like, am I really saying this? Okay, I'll
I
do
need the money. This is Arnold, like, I need to make house payments. You know,
That's right.
I've got two Gulf Streams. I've got to pay
I
for my
need to
jets.
buy a new Humvee.
Yeah, two
I'm
more
going to-
Humvees.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that's a terrible Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, it
I
was bad.
apologize. I apologize, former governor of California, sir.
Because you know he's going to listen to this. So if you do, I'm really sorry for that part.
He might. Do you think it's weird that Chris Pratt is his son-in-law? It's probably weird, huh?
It is kind of weird.
I don't feel like they like each other. Probably, maybe they do. I don't know.
No, I think they. Well, I don't know. Maybe they have a professional detachment. I don't know.
Professional detachment. Here's something I did not know about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Apparently, he's a very highly ranked chess player.
Really? That's cool.
I mean, ranked in the sense that he's not like a master or grandmaster or anything, but he's very good at chess, apparently. So
It seems like, though, like every few years he has some like major thing, like we're going to completely replace his circulatory system, and then 2 days later he's like, oh, shooting started on his new movie. He's just like, yeah, whatever.
I got thrown from my motorcycle, and I'm fine. Let's go. He
Well,
is the Terminator, basically. So
Well, I think because he's doing some kind of show, I think, and like right after they announced production started, there was something about he was going in, had like 18 bypasses done or his heart replaced or something like that.
Steroids are a bad thing.
And-
He did steroids.
But then he was like, it was like 2 days later, he was like back on set. I'm like, what the hell? So
I will never forget, though, if we're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger, when that guy tried to like give him a flying back kick, and he's like, "Huh?" It didn't even phase him. It's like, "What, man? What's up?"
yeah, he's like, oh man, that
That's
tickled.
pretty funny.
Yeah.
But where were his security guys? Were like slow. They like swooped in, but they didn't swoop in quite fast enough. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'm an Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, unabashedly. I don't care what anyone says.
Nope, I'm with you on that. I'll watch.
Arnold's awesome.
He's one of those handful of actors that whatever he's in, I'm going to watch it. Doesn't matter how bad it is, he'll be fun in it. So.
Right. Do you think it's because we grew up with him and like Stallone and those guys? I just will watch a Stallone movie too.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Rambo. This last Rambo was a total piece of crap, but I was
It
like,
was terrible.
Stallone, I'll watch it. But
Yeah,
I don't know. But not Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal, I don't care about him.
no, I won't watch anything he's in because he's a piece of shit. But
Yeah, but Arnold Schwarzenegger does not seem. I mean, let's be honest. Arnold Schwarzenegger's not perfect, but
no,
he's a Republican for one thing. But also, I should keep politics out of it. But he also
You should.
cheated on his wife, which is not.
yeah,
good,
he seems okay now though. Everyone seems to be like, yeah, you're okay. We forgive
but
you.
when he
for all
posts
that.
those videos with his animals, it's kind of adorable. So
Yeah.
Anyway, if you haven't listened to Jurassic Park as an audiobook, I highly recommend it. It's really good, and there's a lot of things in the book that are not in the movie, and it kind of gives you more insight into what's happening in the world and also the state of science and everything. But it is funny to listen because they're talking about stuff that happens in like the 80s and 90s, and that was, I think, 100 years ago at this point. So,
yeah,
amazing.
Pretty much. Yeah, because I mean, it's at least as old as the James Bond movie we're never going to see,
which is never going to come out. Yeah, but I'm happy. Like we talked about before, I'm happy to see Black Widow finally make it out, and we'll see.
Well, don't say that yet. It hasn't actually come out, but we'll see.
Well, that's true. You know who else is another person I really enjoy watching and will watch anything is David Harbour. I don't know why. He just seems like a cool guy.
Yes. Yes. And I didn't grow up watching him, but yeah, I'll definitely watch him.
No, I mean, I guess grow up is probably not the right word because I haven't grown up technically yet even. I'm still an immature jerk as I was when I was a kid. Right. So I think I've aged, but I don't know if I've grown up.
Yeah, so I don't think it's that I saw them at a young age because, like, Robert Redford, I'd watch anything he's in just because I think he's a really great actor. And again, even if it's something that is lackluster in other regards, I know that his performance will be pretty fantastic in it.
Yeah, my dad loved Robert Redford and John Wayne. I mean, again, you can say whatever you want about John Wayne. He turned out to be kind of a dick, obviously, but still love John Wayne movies. I will watch John Wayne movies. But yeah, Robert Redford, we went to the theater to see Robert Redford movies when I was a kid. And some of them were R-rated. Like there's a movie where he plays a motorcycle racer or something. And there's definitely some boobs in that one. And I was like, I'm really too young to be seeing this kind of thing. But
so, yeah, I mean, there are like Robert Redford, John Wayne. I just thought of someone that I completely forgot. But there's a few of them that I just grew up watching that I'll watch. But then there's like you said, David Harbour and Chris Pine. Chris Pine is another one I will watch movies he's in because I think he's a really talented actor. Although maybe that comes from I was always a fan of his dad. So
there you go. Know. That's right.
I mean, Chips.
That's right. So something. Here's a funny story. So the other day I went out in the world, and I was having a conversation with my friend as we were driving in his monster truck. It's a freaking. He has a Raptor. It's a big truck, which is cool. But I'm like, and it's funny as you drive in Texas with a big ass truck, people like look at you. Other dudes were looking at it jealously. It was kind of funny. I don't know if he noticed that, but I did. I was like, that guy is jealous of this truck. Anyway, that's not the story. The story is that we were driving along talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, which we're going to get to in a second. Sure. And I said, yeah, he looks, it's so weird that guy looks just like his dad in interviews with especially when he's got a beard. And he's like, who you talking about? Who's his dad? I'm like, it's Kurt Russell is his dad and Goldie Hawn is his mom. He's like, well, I had no idea Wyatt Russell was, So anyway, that was a weird story. But he'd always been a fan of Wyatt Russell's work, but he didn't realize he was Kurt Russell's kid. So there you go.
You can't tell from the voice and the
I guess
lopsided smirk and stuff.
I guess I don't know why I don't why I know that, but I think because I saw a couple of interviews and they were interviewing him and they said, have you ever seen any Marvel movies? Have you ever seen any movies that your dad's been? And he's like, no, we don't really watch. Did you see Guardians of the Galaxy 2? He's like, yeah, I guess, but whatever. So anyway,
I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to lobby for this for a while because he's a great age for it. That Wyatt Russell needs to star in a Snake Plissken TV series. Just going to put that out there.
That's interesting that you say that because I was thinking that basically exact same thing the other day. That's funny.
Yeah, especially
I would watch I would totally watch a Snake Plissken show, like a younger guy, like what happens, like with him and Frisco Bob and all the other guys back in the day,
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want it to be like in another Escape
Remember what they did to Bob.
Yeah, I want it to be, this kind of like a 3 or 4 seasons of, the origin of Snake Plissken. The series ends with them pulling off the bank job that gets him arrested and sent to Staten Island. Or
that's the final shot of the entire series. He's flying in a helicopter, and you see the prison in the distance, and then that's the end. Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, I would totally watch the hell out of that show, and Wyatt Russell starring in it would be fantastic. It would be perfect.
Or they're just going to remake Escape from New York with Wyatt Russell, but
they could do that. But I kind of hope they don't. I think they were going to remake Escape from New York for a while now, and I don't think it's really gone anywhere. But
yeah, I mean, what would you do to update it is the question. I mean, because you can't just have it be New York is a prison, and you have to the president's whatever. I mean, what would you do? How would you do it differently?
I wouldn't. I mean, it's kind of one of those movies that it's like, it doesn't there's no real way to update it. I mean, Carpenter tried to do that with Escape from L.A., but but
yeah. I was hiking in the hills in L.A.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, a little Leonard Kinney there.
Yeah, yeah, good. I'm glad you caught that.
I did.
But I don't.
I'm very sensitive when people talk shit about L.A.
I mean, I don't think you remake it exactly as it is. I think you kind of do because I think they had hinted that the third Escape From movie would take place in space, and so you make it a space prison, and you kind of do that story.
It's It's like an asteroid prison or something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I
would watch that. I would watch that.
Yeah, I mean, that love or hate John Carpenter movies, and I'm on the love side. I love his movies. His movies are very firmly attached to the time period in which they happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, The Thing kind of proved that it's really difficult to. I mean, they made that as a prequel more than a remake, and that led into the John Carpenter movie, and it was terrible. So it's like, I don't know that you could really. Even was it Assault on Precinct 13? Even the remake of that, it was like, well, this is almost a completely different movie. So why even throw that title on it? But I don't know.
Yeah, I would watch it. You know that there's a first of all, the remake of Escape from New York was going to be Robert Rodriguez, right?
Right.
And now apparently they're still working on the script or whatever. But there's also a book. Did you ever read the book? The novelization of
I did not.
The movie, because you were saying about like the Federal Reserve and all that stuff. That stuff, a lot of that's in the book, and a lot of that. There's also more of a relationship between Snake and Hawk, too, where you learn that you learn about like how Snake lost his eye, and you learn a bunch of stuff. But there's basically a lot more. There's a lot more backstory and a lot more stuff like that. So I mean, you could take the novelization and all the stuff that was in the script, but not ended up in the movie, and yeah, you could totally make a series about that. I would watch that. Yeah,
I'm actually shocked that no one, even Wyatt Russell aside, I'm just shocked that no one has said that would make a good series. Most especially John Carpenter. I mean. But maybe he's kind of done with the character and making stuff. I don't know.
Well, he'd have to be a producer of the show, but he could just be,
But man,
it would have to be
that show now.
It would have to be on on a network that can do, like a Netflix show or whatever.
Yeah, HBO Max or something like that. It's got to be.
Yeah, HBO Max. Yeah,
it couldn't be on like
CBS
Monday nights at 8 on CBS. That would not work.
Call me Snake. Yeah. I would watch it. Anyway, so speaking of Wyatt Russell and the new Captain America and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and all that other stuff, what an interesting episode this was. My goodness. And this is a spoiler alert for episode 4 of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Bucky cries and
yes.
And we learn about more about his time as the White Wolf back in Wakanda, which is a great scene. And,
it was pretty phenomenal. Some impressive acting from
good job, Sebastian Stan. Yeah, absolutely amazing stuff. And then you learn that that Sam is a lot like the bad guy a little bit, or the bad girl, I should say.
Yes.
They have similar leanings. They're both sort of feel like marginalized people, which makes sense. It follows a through line in the show. And Wyatt Russell as the new Captain America kind of turns out to be a dick. I'm just saying. Not shockingly,
kind of, but
not shockingly,
kind of,
more than kind of. And I have to be honest and say that my theory about what's her name being the power broker, I don't know if that was supported by this episode. In fact, I think it was sort of knocked down a bit by this episode.
Kind of, yeah, it seemed to be. It doesn't totally discount it just yet, but
it doesn't.
I agree with you.
But it's less likely. Although, in the scene where she's walking, around all the dudes with machine guns, they're all giving her the, hey boss nod, I think.
Right.
And it's funny. Someone pointed this out in a video that I watched after I watched the episode. It's like there's a tunnel in Atlanta that has all that graffiti, and you can clearly see like the artist's name in the background. It's like, oh, that's the tunnel in Atlanta. People know where that is. But
well, the other sign pointing to it, of course, is that many of the good guys in the show use iPhones, and she does not. And it's well known that Apple does not allow villains and bad guys in shows to use their devices. So,
well, there you go. Now it's all figured out.
Yep. See, that's all signs point to yes.
So would John Walker use an iPhone? I don't think so.
He would not. No, he would be he would start out using an iPhone and then switch over to Android.
Then it would get broken, like thrown against a wall or something. Awkward.
Yeah, awkward.
Sorry, that's terrible. So still love Zemo. Still love Sharon Carter, even though she's a bad guy. Still love. I think you're right. I think she's either A, undercover, like deep cover, or B, she's had to use her certain set of skills to get by in that place, which I was going to say Wakanda, but that's not where she is. She's in I'm drawing a blank. Where are they? I forgot.
They're in Latvia, aren't
Latvia.
they?
No, not Latvia. Madripoor. Thank you.
Oh, Madripoor. Oh, yeah, her. Yeah.
She needs to get by in Madripoor is going to get a lot more interesting.
Well, honestly, I was really surprised after, the fond farewell in the previous episode. It's like, well, here's Sharon again. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Okay.
Well, here's the thing about TV, as you know.
Well,
the show has got, 3 episodes left? 2 episodes left?
2 episodes left now, yeah.
Are you going to introduce a brand new character?
Right.
In 2 episodes, that's the power broker. Or is it already going to be a character you've seen? Because twist, it's the bad guy. Or maybe the power broker will never be seen. Or as someone else pointed out in another video, and as I kind of thought, maybe this ties into Shang-Chi or the Mandarin. Maybe the Mandarin is the power broker. Because the 10 rings.
Yes. Yeah, they could continue that through other threads and other, So
you don't actually need to know who the power broker is. You just need to know that they're out there.
Because, the other way to go with Sharon is I completely expect also that, like in the final episode, Falcon's like, I'm going to live up to my promise, and goes to the, CIA to clear her name, and she's there with the CIA boss, and she's like, yeah, sorry, I was deep undercover the whole time. So,
psych.
Yep.
Or Sharon Carter. She hasn't worked for the agency in years.
She works for the company. No.
She works for the company, yeah.
Sharon Carter, we don't know who that is.
Who's Sharon Carter? I don't know who that is, yeah.
She's never worked for us. Dun, dun, dun.
We have no Sharon Carter on the books.
On the books.
Who's that?
Yeah.
So here's something interesting, though, that I noticed, and also, again, I do watch videos about the show from other people.
Okay.
There are several scenes, and I'm sure you probably noticed this too. There are several scenes in these episodes, the last 2 episodes especially episodes dealing with the Flag Smashers, where there's a lot of stuff said off screen.
Yes.
A lot of dubs, a lot of ADR stuff and whatever. Yeah. So apparently there was a story in the show about a virus, or like it was like that kind of thing. That was the story that they're releasing a virus for combat, or not a virus for combat, but like a plague kind of story. And so that was edited out because of COVID. And so, like, there's a scene that struck me strange where Carly is talking to the 2 other guys, and she's like, we got to kill Captain America, but she delivers that line off screen.
True.
They don't that's a dramatic scene, and she's like, we need to divide them, we need to split them up, and then kill Captain America. It's not, you don't see her face when she says it. It's the reactions on the guys, which is a way to go. You could edit that way to see the reactions, but I feel like that is something that they would have been on her for. And then she could have said the line and then cut to their reactions.
Because you want to see the conviction in her face, because that to me hasn't quite fit with her character. Or at least
that's
the
what
way
I'm saying.
It's been going. Yeah.
The Flag Smashers, like the scene in this episode where they're all watching the news footage of the bombing from last episode, right?
Right.
It's just a weird kind of voiceover that everyone can hear, first of all, in the episode, in the whole, the whole group. And then there's one like close up, like an insert of a cell phone watching some generic firefighter footage and whatever. And it could be anywhere. And that, so I feel like this was all added later, where they had to retool the episodes.
So do you think instead of the super soldier serum, it was originally like some kind of virus, and they decided to retool that?
No,
because
I think it
because
was
it
both.
always struck me weird that some random scientist guy figured out the super soldier serum, and not only that, he was able to make it as some kind of drinkable thing or something that you didn't need anything, the Vita rays or whatever, to help make it. So that always was kind of weird to me that all of a sudden now it's a super soldier serum, and the folks, the Flag Smashers, supposedly have the super soldier serum, or at least some of them do, but they didn't really do anything like superhuman to the extent that Captain America did.
Well,
And then all of a
jumped
sudden,
out. They've jumped out of a building. They've
but
pushed some guys around.
So it was like that always seemed kind of strange. So I wonder if there was some retooling there.
Well, that would have to be a lot of reshoots though, because they talk about. I mean, Bucky and Sam talk about it a lot. There's like a whole.
I
But I think
so.
I think the flag. I think the Flag
the
Smashers.
scientist guy was only a few characters. They could have totally reshot that whole section easily.
I feel like that was still part of the show. I feel like the super soldier, because the whole point of that is so John Walker will end up being able to take it, right?
Oh, that's true. And I guess
because he has to it amplifies what's inside of you because he's a psycho, so it makes him even more of a super psycho, right?
And that was Zemo's involvement because he
right. And yeah, Zemo was against all super soldiers, so he would have tried to destroy all the formula. He just missed one conveniently, but that was in there. But I think that they weren't trying to necessarily just blow stuff up or whatever. I think that their mission was to get this biological weapon and release it.
Right.
To kill all the people who snap back, maybe, or something. I don't know. There was more to it, but it's just there's a lot of weirdness, and you don't know how Mama Donya died, right? They never talk about it.
That's true.
It's like she's like an actual name actress who's in the show, but never ever has any lines or anything.
Right.
And so I imagine there was a whole subplot with her, and there was a whole whatever. And it's just, some of it feels disjointed, especially with the Flag Smasher stuff. And I feel like that's the thing we're responding to about why that part of the show seems weaker, because their whole thing had to be changed around, and they're not their conviction is different now than it was, or something. I don't know. It just seems strange to me.
I'll say the thing that I really liked about this episode is it almost felt Hitchcockian in its kind of ratcheting of slow burn of the tension. It was kind of like this slow build, and it kind of felt like a Hitchcock movie in a way to me, that it was just like you knew there was a ticking bomb, right? Because you knew something was going to give with Walker, something was going to happen with Flag Smashers, and it just kind of built to this, and it was like, wow, that was just the way that was constructed and the way that was done, I thought was really well done. It was just really, really, really good and awesome to watch. So
I'll say that. Yeah, I mean, dudes getting kills, not that awesome. I'm just kidding, but yeah.
Well, no,
I mean, it makes sense. There was two things, right? The catalysts where John Walker's like, they weren't even super soldiers when he's fighting whatever is the Tasha Miller. I forget the name of the
Dora Milaje.
The Dora Milaje, yeah. And they kick his ass, and the thing she does with Bucky's arm is pretty funny too. But
that was great. She like hits it in a couple
the...
places and it falls off. It's like, whoa.
Like, what the... Which is interesting, because if they're going to give him an arm, they basically brought the arm to him knowing that Thanos was already out there, right?
Yeah.
So why would they necessarily include like a failsafe? I guess because they didn't for sure think he was cured, so they could always take the arm off if they had to.
I think there's two reasons for that. One is I'm sure they have other fail-safes in there, because they are Wakandans, even though he's part of their tribe, are very, very protective of their technology. And two, it's like, we're pretty sure that he's cured, but just in case, let's make sure that we have a backup. So
just in case we can get his
down the road.
Armed. Well, that'll make for an interesting confrontation between him and Shuri maybe down the road.
Yeah, I like her name check, and that was great.
Because that will be something, which is interesting. But I wonder if Sebastian Stan will be in Black Panther 2, because I'm assuming they're going to do a Black Panther 2 even without.
They are. It's in pre-production. So.
Yeah, I mean, he was great, but there's no way you can. I mean, I feel like they can continue the story without him. I hate to say it like that, but
so there were other characters, including Shuri. We've talked about this before, who were Black Panther in the comics, and I would be totally on board with Shuri being Black Panther and Black Panther 2. But they have to do. Well, they're going to have to. acknowledge it somehow. And I think they're kind of in a. I trust that they'll come up with a good story way to do it, but they're kind of like, do they say that he's died? Is it going to be far enough removed, or do they explain away some other reason why T'Challa's not around? I don't know. That's going to be difficult.
No, I think they have to. He has to be dead. I think they have to do something where he died heroically, saving something.
Yeah,
and that's just, you do it and you move on, because I mean that's what happens. And then, because they certainly can't go on with like a CG version of him.
No, and they've said they're not going to do that. But
they can't have him, the CGI Black Panther, doing anything. Yeah. So it's got to be, what is it, like on vacation or something? I mean, you can't. It's like, he has to be.
That doesn't make sense. So.
No, he has to be dead. I mean, there's no way it can't be.
And I think you got to a certain, well, not even to a certain extent, to a great extent, you have to honor Boseman, I think. I mean, you can't just give some lame explanation, because I think that dishonors Boseman's
right. So they're going to have to make a big
So,
deal about it. He's going to have to have died heroically, and he's going to have to have there's going to have to be a big sort of feast party thing in the movie.
Yeah.
To honor him, but also honoring the actor.
So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's what brings him back to Wakanda. And then, who's going to take over? And that's maybe Shuri takes over, and Bucky helps her become. I mean, I don't know. I could see that happening. So
he's like, yeah, I'll help you out with this, but first fix my arm and take your crap out of it, or something.
Take your crap out of it. Yeah. Well, yeah, because you could definitely see like the influence, because it was like the purple energy in there and the magnets and all that. It's like holding it together. So anyway, that was an interesting beat in the show, and he felt so betrayed. He's like, why? Yeah, and she's like, F you, White Wolf, basically.
Yeah, yes.
May Bast curse you, or whatever she says.
Yeah, but that was just an awesome sequence.
It was a great fight scene, yeah. And John Walker's like, he's like devastated. So that's one thing that's pushing him over the edge, because he doesn't feel like, well, it's like anybody who wants to be, that whole thing with Zemo saying anybody who wants to be a superhero has got a problem already in their mind. They want to be superior to everybody else. Yes. That's supremacy. And he's like, that's an interesting take on it. And so that makes sense for John Walker, unfortunately.
Well,
he wants to.
And I like his observation that, they want power and there's something wrong with them. But even, it's great because even Zemo kind of reveres Steve Rogers, because when Bucky's like, well, except for Steve, and he's like, well, yeah, of course, because, Steve Rogers.
There's only one Steve Rogers, yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting that he even has a respect of Zemo, but
which is why there has to be an explanation for Old Cap. That's not selfish Steve, right?
Yes.
Because there has to be something, because there's no way that Steve would just say, fuck it, I'm going to go live my life now. There has to be more to that.
Yes. And that could be a series if they wanted it to.
Young Cap. Oh, Old Cap.
Old Cap.
I don't think that Chris Evans is going to wear makeup for 6 episodes.
No. Well, they could do a thing like the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. It could be the Young Cap Chronicles, and they have Chris Evans made up in makeup to do the the intro and the outro.
Let me tell you about my time.
Exactly. Oh, I remember that time in Vietnam. And
we were fighting Nazis, not the kind of Nazis we have now, but other Nazis that are similar to the Nazis we have now.
I guess he wouldn't be in Vietnam. He was on ice in that, but I don't know.
He would not be in Vietnam, though. Well, it's like the What If show. What if Captain America hadn't gone into the ice in 19... I mean, I still have that comic where it says that. So or comic books. Because everyone who reads comic books knows that Captain... Okay, sorry.
But this was a very intense building episode, obviously, to the very shocking moment of... Well, first two of them, I'm surprised they kind of killed Battlestar. I mean, he had a lame name, but... Dude, he was like he was the one that should be Captain America, because he was living the ideals and was like, oh, we got. Although he seemed to revere John Walker for some weird reason, I guess because they served in Afghanistan.
They've seen some shit.
Yes, so but he should know that, hey, this guy isn't quite right, and he's got a little bit of an ego thing going.
Well, what does he say to him in the first episode? You can't punch your way out of everything now. Right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Like, he knows what he's dealing with here, and which is why. He's like, yeah, I'll take the super soldier formula. I would, but he's like, I don't know if you should, man. And there's actually the scene where he's giving sort of the side eye to Walker when Walker's mansplaining to the Dormilaje. You don't have jurisdiction here. He's like, I'm Captain America. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
They're like, we go, but we do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah.
So I'd still like to see a fight between her and Black Widow, but that's a totally different movie. But
that would be cool. Yeah.
she's like, I remember when you first see her in Civil War, I guess it is, or is it? No, it's in Winter Soldier. She's like, move or you will be moved. And you're like,
yes.
And T'Challa's like, I would like to see that, but no.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That would be an awesome fight, but I'm good. We got to go.
As much as I would like to see that, he's like, well, hold up, step back.
He was poor Chadwick. He was so good in that show.
He's such a good actor, and
tragedy,
a genuinely great human being. From
by all accounts. So, anyway, let's not get depressed, but it's just it was I mean, unfortunately, it was an inevitable conclusion. You knew that the part of the path of the show is that John Walker will become a super soldier and not handle it well.
Right.
Clearly. And then, straight up murder a dude. I'm just saying.
And a pretty, there's blood on the shield now, as they say. And that
I was thinking about that. Is that the most blood we've ever seen in an MCU movie? It might be. There's a lot of blood on the shield.
There is, and I mean, we didn't see, what happened with the dude, but it's pretty evident what happened. But that was a lot of blood on the shield.
He smashed him in the chest with the shield and crushed him, basically.
Yes.
But and this isn't my thing that someone else pointed out in another video where you can see he's holding the shield and that's all bloody, but you can see his other hand is like twitching.
Yeah. Yep.
And also, there's he does a couple of ticks in the episode after he's taken the formula, where know his body's like going, he's like getting all crazy. But he did a really good job in this episode, I think, as an actor too, Wyatt Russell, because there's a lot of parts before that where he's just, you can see his sort of problems, where he's like gripping his eyes like he's got a migraine. He does that a couple of times where he's like angry and anxious to get going. I think in some parts of him really genuinely want to live up to the idea of Captain America, but he also knows that he's not ever going to live up to it. So
that's why
he's not the kind of person.
That's why he stormed in when Sam was talking to Carly, because he's like, no, I'm going to be Captain America. And even right then, right before that, there was a moment where he started to lose it, where he's going, no, and then he brings it out, and there's he acted it really well, where there's moments like, oh, is this where he snaps, and he pulls it out and pivots the other way, and he's just like, we got to do, and he presents it to Bucky. He's like, do you want to have anything bad happen to your partner? Do you want to leave him in there like that and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, he's,
well, and that's foreshadowing, of course, what happens to Battlestar, but also what happens to, because he's so busy trying to prove himself that he ends up getting his partner killed in a way, if you think about it.
Well, yeah.
And it was there was a joke, but it's like, poor Battlestar was tied up in a room with dripping water. You know what that means?
Yeah, well, yes, that's it. Poor guy.
Dead. He's dead. He's in a room with dripping water. He's going to die.
I'm kind of a little concerned that they fridged the black guy, but it's like, all right.
Well, yeah. But there's still Anthony Mackie. Well, because there needed to be something to push Walker over the edge finally. And that's the catalyst that finally gets him to go nuts, as it were. I mean, he'd already taken the formula at that point, but maybe he wouldn't have murdered anybody yet if Battlestar had been killed.
And the other point of that too, I think, was to put Carly well beyond redemption at this point. I mean, she killed 3 unknown people in the explosion, but even then, Sam and Bucky were kind of like, yeah, but we still need to reach her. But at this point, I think they're like, yep, nope, we got to take her down.
But I don't feel like she's going to be the main antagonist at this point. I think it's
don't start doing the WandaVision thing. That's everyone's like,
it's actually
someone else. It can't be
Agatha. No. I'm saying Carly is an antagonist for sure, but I don't know that she's the main. Well, she's one of the bads, but I think that John Walker will be the other one. I think they'll have to fight him.
Yeah.
So it'll be.
Do you think he'll team up with the Flag Smashers? No. But he'll go around starting to kill them and murder them now.
No, and I think that Sam thinks he can still reach Carly, and I think that there'll be a point where Walker is going to try to kill her, and they'll have to take out Walker to save her.
Probably.
Maybe.
I think Bucky's done with Carly, though.
Well, he was done. He was done with him from the beginning. He's like, yeah, this is bullshit. So
he's more pragmatic. He's like, yeah.
Well, Zemo too. Zemo's like, you can't reach them. It's too late. But you're right. I mean, she did. But I kind of felt like her doing that was sort of an accident, in a way. She punched him, but I think she just used too much force and didn't mean to kill him. I feel like she looked like, oh fuck, I didn't mean to do that.
But yeah, but then that's that moment that you.
Accident.
I mean, if you're going for tropes, that you pull any sympathy that the good guys have for the multi-dimensional bad guy. It's like, I was with you until you killed one of us, and now.
Right. But you're still, you're still finding a way to redeem Zemo. Although he had, Tony's parents killed. He's not exactly a nice guy either, but he can dance.
Zemo's awesome.
He can dance, and he's funny.
Yes. I like Zemo. I think, was it Daniel Bruhl is doing a tremendously great job of adding, and of course the writing too, but adding really good depth and dimensions to Zemo. Because it's the same thing with Carly. It's like they're not just two-dimensional bad guys. It's like, there's reasons for why they're doing what they're doing, and there's more to them.
Right. Well, he thinks there should be no super soldiers. So the fact that that Walker becomes a super soldier, Zemo might be helpful in eliminating him. But I also think, like Sam pointed out, what about Bucky? And he's gonna be like, well, Bucky's gotta go too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's like, well,
Well, he's a means to an end. He was a means to an end, and now he's got to go. So there's going to be definitely a conflict between that.
Yes.
But not Steve, because there's only one Steve Rogers.
Well, because, Steve Rogers. I mean,
Steve Rogers, for God's sake. So
yeah.
Steve Rogers. The other thing I was going to say about this show, one of the reasons I like it so much is obviously the camaraderie between Sam and Bucky. But it reminds me of one of my favorite buddy movies of all time. Have you ever seen Midnight Run?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It just reminds me of that for some reason. Just that kind of banter with De Niro and Charles Grodin. Grodin, by the way, fucking comic genius.
Yes.
At another level. But he and De Niro are so good in that movie together. And it also has, not unfortunately, but it also has a great role for Yaphet Kotto, unfortunately, who just passed away recently, which he was one of my favorite actors, too. I'm sorry to see him go. Of course, I first saw him as Parker in Alien. Or maybe it was in the James Bond movie, Live and Let Die.
I think it was,
It might have been Live and Let Die, yeah. Names is for tombstones, baby.
Anyway. I'll tell you the pairing, though, or the grouping that this reminds me of is the Riggs, Murtaugh, Leo Getz dynamic.
Yeah, that too. That too.
So, but what I think about the show as a whole is it's keeping in the thriller genre aesthetic that the Captain America movies have. I don't know if thriller is the right thing, but that kind of I think thriller works, but not the horror movie type of thriller, but kind of the intrigue aesthetic the Captain America movies had. This kind of keeps that, and I think
it kind of has to, because you have two characters who are very grounded in reality. They're like they don't have powers necessarily. I mean, Bucky's a super soldier, but he's not like, he can't fly. He's not Thor or whatever. So it's got to be more. I mean, I hate to say it, it's got to be more things they could punch, right? Because it's on the ground stuff, which is always the thing with like Avengers movies too. Because even though aliens came through a hole in the sky, they still landed on the ground so they could be punched. And so, or the characters that could fight in the air were fighting in the air, and like Cap and Black Widow and Hawkeye were doing their shit
on the ground.
The ground. So it has to be that kind of thing, which I appreciate, because I liked Winter Soldier so much that they're kind of keeping that going, and it is sort of the buddy cop show, but they're both kind of bad cop, which is funny. And so, I agree with you. It's really well done. But I just, for some reason, was thinking about Midnight Run the other day, and I was like, I'm going to watch that again. So if you've never seen Midnight Run with De Niro and Charles Grodin, definitely watch it. It's an excellent movie.
You should. And you should also watch the movie, I keep mispronouncing this one, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Falcon and Snowman.
And the Snowman. Yeah, you just said Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I know. Wow, I went the other way with it this
time.
You were
the worst.
So I'm terrible.
I don't want to do this with you anymore.
The exact opposite of Charles Grodin. I am not a comedic genius.
You're not a comedic genius.
I have lousy timing, so
Yeah, he is great. It's a great movie. But yeah, I like. What's funny is Derek Kolstad, who's writing some of the episodes, who did John Wick. I feel like there's a little bit of John Wick in these shows, especially in like the episode with Emily Van Camp last episode where she's fighting a lot of dudes. Here's a question I had for you. When she's walking down the alley having the conversation with Sam, she looks fine, right?
Right.
But the next time you see her, she's got her face is all messed up. So I'm wondering, because after she says Madripoor is going to get more interesting, and then she's got a big sore on her lip like she was in a fight or something. And I thought, oh, it's from the fight in the docks, but in the container fight. But then there's a scene where she doesn't have that problem, and then she does. So I don't know what happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, somebody took the trouble to figure out how much all that artwork is worth.
Right.
That she has like some $500 million or something like that. It's a lot. So,
she's the power broker.
She might be still. I'm saying she might be, or she is the power broker in a sense that she's like the front and facing of the power broker, but it still could be Mandarin.
Yeah.
I feel like Mandarin is going to feature in Shang-Chi because it's the 10 Rings thing, which was introduced, if you recall, in the original Iron Man. Because in that shot where they have Tony Stark, and they have the banner behind all the terrorist guys, it's a 10 Rings banner.
Yep.
So that's not like it's in the MCU, and they did have the Mandarin, although it was not the Mandarin.
I still want Trevor to turn out to actually be the real Mandarin.
Trevor Slattery, everyone.
And Trevor is a complete cover to throw people off. Because I
would love it if Ben Kingsley came back and was the Mandarin. I would totally be into that. Yeah, because why wouldn't you lapse into the I'm just an actor playing the Mandarin. I'm not the actual man. I can't do it, Ben Kingsley. But exactly. I always felt like that was the case. Like there was going to be a Kaiser Soze moment at the end of that movie where he's just like, everything's okay, boss. He's like, right,
because he was like almost too inept and too over the top with not knowing anything to be real. I mean,
right, exactly. Yeah, like Verbal Kint at the end, he's like starts walking straight without the limp, and he's like, I know that guy's gonna be. That's Usual Suspects. If you haven't seen that movie, folks, another movie you should watch. Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Even though Bryan Singer's
Bryan Singer, well, he didn't. No, he did direct it. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bryan Singer's troublesome, and of course Kevin Spacey also troublesome.
Yeah,
but that doesn't take away from the movie. Go see it just for Benicio del Toro.
Absolutely,
who is awesome in the movie, by the way.
And another Gabriel Byrne movie where he's also fantastic.
Yeah, Gabriel Byrne, excellent. Anyway, and you know what? People turn out to be shitty people, but I still try to separate their work from their personal life if I can.
Yeah,
if I can. Usual Suspects is a really well done film, and it's really well written. I don't think Christopher McQuarrie has turned out to be an asshole yet, right?
I would say even though the big reveal and that he's the unreliable narrator, I don't think that movie is carried by Spacey because it's an ensemble movie and there's such amazing performances in that.
Even Stephen Baldwin is adequate in the movie.
Actually, that's another movie that Gabriel Byrne and Kevin Pollak, like End of Days, they're in that together as well.
They must be buddies. Who knows?
I think so. So you should definitely see Usual Suspects. It's phenomenal movie. I agree with you. It's not always, I'm not always perfect at it and I don't have a formula for it, but it is important, I think, sometimes to separate the artist from the work. And,
well, that, a lot of people are talking about J.K. Rowling right now too.
Right.
Speaking of separating the artist from the work. So my feeling about something like that is that I will not buy another Harry Potter book. I will not go to a movie, or I won't support anything she does from now on, but that doesn't mean that my kids shouldn't read Harry Potter or that I can't watch the movies that I already paid for and she already got the money for anyway.
Right.
I could still kind of enjoy that stuff and try not to think about her being a terrible person. But it's funny. Also, in this conversation I was having with my friend the other day in the truck about Wyatt Russell, also talking about J.K. Rowling, how he's reading Harry Potter books with his kid now, and he's like, oh, there's also a lot of parts where she makes fun of fat people.
True. Yes.
It's like everyone she associates fat with bad and like evil,
Yes.
And so
true.
it's like it's not only is she like a TERF, I guess is the word. She doesn't believe in transsexual people, but she also hates people who are overweight too, which is like
that. So
anyway, I don't want to get into a big J.K. Rowling thing.
I can kind of see that, but that's also kind of if you look back at British movies, that's kind of a British thing as well.
It's a British thing?
Yeah. I mean,
well, then the Brits are all assholes now.
Yeah. So I don't
Except
know
our British listeners. Love you.
But still, that should be in our modern times something that's like, hey, listen, that's not really a cool thing to do. Maybe I shouldn't do that. It's kind of like if they made 16 candles nowadays, there would be, one huge thing and character they would probably have to rethink.
You mean long duck dong?
Yes.
Is there something wrong with dong? Dong? Where's my automobile, dong?
Donger needs food.
Getty Watanabe, man, poor guy.
But yeah, so yeah, that it's never. I don't like I said, I don't have a formula for it, and it's never easy. I mean, I firmly admit it's probably more like, hey, here is something I enjoy, and I know this asshole was in it, but I'm still going to enjoy this thing. But then here's this other person who has done things I don't like, so I'm not going to watch anything they do. So it's probably a double standard on my part. I mean, kind of like the new Joss Whedon show, The Nevers. I'm actually really wanting to watch that. But here's the thing. While he came up with the idea and maybe wrote some of it and directed some of it, there are other people like Jane Espenson and some other people that worked on it that I do really like and are decent people that I kind of want to support. And it looks like a very interesting show. So that's kind of a dilemma of like, do I support this and watch it, or do I ignore it and, wait till it's on, Tubi or something for free in 10 years. I don't know.
Tubi. It looks interesting, and I'll probably watch it. But yeah, it's you're right. It's not. There's not an easy solution. I suppose you could just be absolute and say I won't support anything and watch anything. But then I don't want to penalize the 199 other people who worked on the show because of Joss Whedon's an asshole. So
right. And in the case of like, Usual Suspects and stuff like that, these are movies made a long time ago, back in the 1900s, as they say, as my kids say, that I'm like, I still like them. And so do I watch them and do I now see them in a different way? Well, no, because it's still the story, and they are actors. They do pretend that's not actually them in the movie, right? So... And saying, Bryan Singer, it's like, yeah, he turned out to be a really terrible, horrible human being, but he's allegedly,
sorry,
that has made some movies that
I enjoy,
I really like. And he's made some I don't like, and I won't watch those. But so it's I totally admit I probably have a double or even triple standard when it comes to this.
Well,
kind of thing.
I admit I don't know the answer necessarily. So.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I'm not clamoring to watch Usual Suspects. From a filmmaking standpoint, it's well done. It's well written for sure. And I also feel that way about one of my other sort of quote unquote favorite movies about Hollywood. If I have to have favorite movies about Hollywood, is Swimming with Sharks. Which of course stars Kevin Spacey as the evil movie executive. But loosely based on certain people, which I won't talk about. But
I'll be totally honest. I never liked that movie that everyone loves that he made. I forget the name of it now because I'm terrible with names. Where he lusted after the teenage daughter, or teenage girl.
American Beauty.
Yeah, I never liked that movie. But
yeah, I didn't. It didn't do anything for me. I didn't find it as interesting as a lot of people seem to. I don't know why that was so popular. I really don't.
I don't either. I mean, it's like I'm like, this is a really kind of. I don't want to ugly shame, but it was an ugly movie, and I just
it was, and it's like he turns to the two gay guys because he wants to look hot so he can bang his daughter's friend. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why is that a movie?
Why is that everyone like, oh, this is such a fantastic movie? I'm like, what? I
think it was supposed to be ironic, right? American Beauty. It's not supposed to be beautiful. It's ugly. It's ugly, horrible shit.
But it was just like, I'm like, I honestly don't think I actually finished that movie. I think I was like, I don't need to watch the rest of this, and I haven't gone back to it since. So
No, nor have I. I watched it once because I watched pretty much everything, but yeah, I don't go, oh my god, that was a genius movie.
But yet, Usual Suspects is just a brilliant, well constructed, well acted, written, and put together movie. So I'm like, what kind of hypocrite am I to say, well, I won't watch the movies I don't like that have Kevin Spacey in them because he's terrible, but I'll defend the ones I do like because they're works of art and I really like them. So does that make me a hypocrite, or
I don't know,
or maybe I just don't know the answer, like you said?
Yeah, it's like you're talking about American Beauty. How did it make $350 million, and how did it win Best Picture?
Right. I was
and
just
Best Actor and Best Screenplay and like what?
Yeah,
I didn't get it.
Yeah, so
whatever.
I mean, I'm like I still like the Robert Galbraith books that J.K. Rowling does, the Corman Strike series. I think
they're okay.
Those are good, and the TV series based on it is really good. And how do I justify still continuing with that yet condemning her? And still, think that, like you said, my kids should be able to read and watch the Harry Potter movies and books. And what does that say about me? What kind of stance? But then again, I'm also not one of those that's like, oh, we're against that, let's burn everything, because you've already given them the money for it, so you're only kind of harming yourself by burning whatever it is you own of theirs. So, maybe, I don't know. I don't think there is an actual answer. I think each person has to kind of decide on their own, and maybe it isn't a straight black or white answer. So I don't know.
There's not.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just, that's the thing about morality. You have to sort of figure out what's best for you, I guess. But I'm not sure how we got on this tangent. But
I'm not sure. From Falcon and
the Winter Soldier. Yeah, Falcon and the Snowman. Fine film. Yeah, maybe we should do a show where we talk about how all these things how did these become famous or popular? Because there's a lot of movies that I look at and go, really? But then, people have different tastes, I guess. So maybe if I watched American Beauty now, I would appreciate it more. But I don't
want to. I felt weird watching it. I'm like,
yeah.
Why is this considered really good? Because I wanted.
Maybe you're just not smart enough to get it, man.
That's it. You don't get it, man. You don't understand the subtext.
It's too intellectual for you. It's they're operating on a higher plane of existence, bro. You just don't get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm not an intellectual. Maybe I just like movies where guys punch stuff.
That's it.
I could do that all day. I'm just saying.
You can only do that all day if you have America's ass. Just saying.
I do not. I am America's ass. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm an ass. I think
I don't have America's ass. I am America's ass.
I don't think my assery and acidness is confined just to America.
Who is America's ass? Anyway, I don't
know. Donald Trump. No, just kidding.
Oh boy, this is a weird episode. I like it, but
maybe we
weird.
should cut that part out. Sorry.
Nah, leave it in. It's okay.
Okay.
No one likes Trump. Maybe they do. I don't know. If you do, that's that's fine.
There's a few million people that do, apparently.
I am not gonna try to convince you that he's a terrible person. If you don't know that, then
you're wrong, and
that's on you. That's your decision. But you know what? Nothing says America more than poor decision making. I'm just saying.
That's true. That's true. I mean,
we've made lots of bad decisions in this country, and
I think we're founded on that, to be honest. But hey,
maybe.
Wow,
so.
We're going to get a lot of people are going to boycott us now and want to cancel us.
I don't know if that's true or not. Because you know what, this is essentially a show about entertainment, but you can't just ignore the world completely.
No.
So there has to be some context, and I think that a show like Falcon and the Winter Soldier is not ignoring the context. It's actually existing in the world that we're in, and trying to bring some of these things into the forefront, if you will.
Yes.
But there's definitely some stuff going on that I don't know that you'd be able to explore in a movie for sure, but you can explore it in a series because you have more time, first of all, but also because you don't have to appeal to as broad a demographic, I guess, on TV as you do necessarily in a movie, because the movie goes all over the world.
Yes.
And so, although there are no, bad guys from China in this movie, so...
That's probably good.
Because China's a huge market, people. So you can't insult people. I'll be interesting to see what they do with Shang-Chi, because that seems like a film that's ripe for problems in Asia. But whatever.
I really want to see that movie, and I know I'm saying this as a white guy, but I always really liked the comic books, and I don't know. I always thought he was a severely underutilized character. I know in recent times they've had him as a member of the Avengers in the comics and things like that, and they've done some really good things recently with him. But there was a period of time where it's like, why? It was almost like Wolverine. You know, he'd appear every once in a while and then go away again. But I thought it was a well-written character at the time in the comics. There were some problems because, you know, of course, it was written by white guys, but and white Americans at that. But it was still a well-done comic, and it was, you know, originally done as kind of an homage to Bruce Lee. So, yeah.
Well, I had to tell you this: the movie Shang-Chi is also written by a white dude. But there you go.
Well, but I'm looking forward to the movie, and I'm glad to see. I think it speaks to a broader joy that I'm having to see some other underutilized characters as a whole being given prominence in their own movies and TV series. I mean, She-Hulk TV series, that's crazy. That's great. Moon Knight, that will be awesome. All these characters that I really liked are finally getting their due and getting public acknowledgement. That's really great.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be cool, and I will totally watch it. And I think that it definitely has I mean, it's called Legend of the Ten Rings, you know, basically.
Well, yes.
And there's definitely going to be some Mandarin. So my feeling that the Mandarin somehow has something to do with Falcon and Winter Soldier kind of makes sense in a way, but I feel like that's more of an Iron Man villain, right? So I don't know. Well, I don't know what'll happen, but Sharon, I'm still not 100% convinced that Sharon's not the power broker, and so we'll see. But I suppose they could have like a really amazing cameo at the end. It's like she opens the door and she's like, "Okay, now what do you want to do?" And it's like, boom, Vincent D'Onofrio sitting there or somebody, you know, some. I only say that because he responded to one of my tweets the other day. I was very excited.
Oh, nice. No,
yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, because now you have
or somebody, really some big cameo of here's the character who's going to be the power broker from now on. It's like here's a new sort of thing. But the show's already done, and I feel like that might have come out already because it's hard to keep secrets. So
I don't know. They've been pretty good at keeping secrets for the shows.
It's Awkwafina. She is the
yes.
power broker.
Here's my big, you know, speaking of underutilized characters because my brain works weird, but here's my big hope for this Shang-Chi movie is that we get to see a live action version of Fin Fang Foom, the dragon. I'm just putting that out there.
In Shang-Chi? Maybe.
Yeah, that would
be lovely.
I would like to see see that. So,
I mean, it's easy to do. We have a talking,
talking raccoon. So.
I'm just saying, it's not that hard. And hello, I'm made of rocks, as you can see, but don't be scared. You know, we have him.
Yes, this is my friend Meek.
It's my friend Meek. Yeah,
Thor, he's back.
Don't worry about it. Yeah,
new Master 69.
New Master 69. Yeah, that's. Anyway. I love him.
Yeah,
he's funny. He's a funny guy. So I was glad to see that he survived.
Yes, and he's on Earth now. That's pretty
Ragnarok. It was very exciting. So, anyway, yes, Falcon and Winter Soldier. I'm interested to see how it. There was 2 hours left, basically, right? In a nutshell.
Yeah, pretty much.
So they got to start wrapping this shit up. Yeah. So what's going to happen in the next episode? John Walker gets taken down, and they get the shield, or what?
I think they're going to have to take it from him. So,
well, he's not going to give it up. Oh, well, maybe he has to turn it in. Because, you know, everything he just did, he just murdered a guy on TV because everyone's got their phones out, which I think is funny because everyone does have their phones out.
I think they'll ask him to turn it in, but he's going to be like, I'm Captain America. Captain America doesn't give up his shield because he's totally bought into it. I'm Captain
America, bitch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So I think it's going to be, he's going to go on the run and they're going to have to go after him at the same time as chasing after the Flag Smashers. So
it's going to be tough. Yeah. They're going to have to bring him in.
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen the last of Zemo, even though he escaped. I think he's gonna show up.
He escaped to the bathroom. That's pretty funny.
Yes.
Oh no, Zemo will come back. Zemo has unfinished business. He's got to get rid of the super soldiers, and he's got to get rid of whatever. Or Zemo's been the power broker all along. It's Zemo all along.
That's right. This whole time. Yes.
Well, that's another interesting thing that could have happened because he's basically talking about this character that's actually himself, right?
That could be. Well, I mean, he's
because there, as we talked about TV, how TV and movies work is that here's a character that's already established in the show, so he could be the bad guy because he's already in the show. Whereas you're not going to bring in, unless it's going to be like a quick cameo at the end where the door opens and it's somebody, and that's the end of the show.
Right.
Otherwise, it's got to be somebody who's already established. You don't just bring in a character at the end. There's no Deus Ex,
Well, and there's precedent for, it can't be Zemo because he was in prison the whole time. It's like, but he's, pretty clever, so he could have done it. So,
here's the other thing, too, is like the whole Zemo escape is Bucky telling the story about the Zemo escape. So is Bucky reliable? I don't know.
Right. How does he know what occurred when he wasn't there?
How does he know what occurred when he wasn't there?
I mean, he initiated the things, but it could have been like Zemo's like, well, I'm going to use this like secret door that I've had all this time anyway. So
I can't believe he escaped that easily without help, too. By the way.
No, I agree. That seems
well. There's some line. Oh, I think it was in Goodfellas. Like they only go to jail because they want to go to jail. They want to get away from their wives or whatever. So I feel like Zemo only went to prison because he wanted to. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe he did to shore up his power base, and
Well, it's like he's wandering around the world now in his own planes and his cars, and like no one is looking for him.
Right.
So, except Captain America and Battlestar. Nope, I'm getting off the bus. Sorry. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. I feel bad for that guy. That's a shame. That's a shitty way to go.
That's just. I felt uncomfortable by that, but maybe we're supposed to. But I was just like,
well, you are supposed to, but also that who else could it be? It couldn't have been anyone else to push Walker over the edge. It had to be his best friend, his partner, and all he talks about is keeping his partner safe. And Bucky, aren't you going to keep your partner safe? You got to watch out for your partners. That we're not partners, but your partner. And now my partner's dead. I couldn't keep him safe.
Right.
So now I'm going to go.
That killed him need to die.
Now I'm going to rage and I'm going to kill everybody. Yeah. So that had to happen. Obviously it's a device, but dramatic device, but it had to happen. It's the only person that could have died to make this happen. I'm sorry to say.
It's still
the only person.
Okay. I'll let it go.
In fact, the moment they came on screen, I'm like, that dude is going to be dead by the end of the show.
Well, I kind of did too. Sorry, but.
Sorry, Battlestar, you're going down because that's just the only way Walker is going to turn out to be an asshole or a big asshole.
Bring back the whole Isaiah Bradley thing too, because you don't have Carl Lumley in makeup for 2 minutes of screen time. There's got to be something more to that as well.
Yes, there has to be. So, but what does he do? Does he come out of retirement to fight?
I don't know. Maybe it's like we need to get everybody we can to help us take down Walker. I don't know.
Right, but why would he want to? I mean, the whole point is why does Sam want to be Captain America? Why does he want to represent a country that doesn't represent him, right? Why does he care about America? Because America obviously doesn't give a shit about him, even though he's the Falcon. He's a fucking Avenger. They're like, sorry, you can't get a bank loan. Fuck you. So why would Sam want to be Captain America to represent America? And why would Isaiah Bradley want to do anything to defend America, the country that persecuted him and tested him? And so I don't know. Why would he? Why would he come out of retirement? I don't know that he would. Maybe he'd just say, why don't you go fuck yourself? Which is kind of what he did say.
That's true.
So, I don't know.
I think we'll find out, though.
You think?
Maybe.
Or maybe they're just, you know what, we're not going to air the other 2 episodes. Forget it.
Yeah.
You guys just figure it out.
We actually didn't get to finish them, so that's where this ends. So
the COVID stopped us, so we're done. You just figure it out. There's going to be a comic book continuation. Just watch that.
yes. We'll continue this in the comics in 3 years.
Starring Kirby Silver Surfer, which is the only true Silver Surfer.
As everyone knows.
As everyone knows who reads comic books. Everyone knows. Oh boy.
All right. Well, we should.
The 10 people who haven't seen Crimson Tide are going, what are they talking about? Kirby and Silver Surfer. It's fucking weird. Yeah. So, all right. So find us on the socials, wherever you buy podcasts, like at your grocery stores. That's where you can find podcasts.
Yes,
in the milk aisle.
CVS pharmacies.
CVS, you can get a prescription for if you have a podcast lasting more than 4 hours. Please,
please consult
your physician. Yeah.
Yes.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. All those places. Which of course, as I say, if you're already listening to the show, you probably already know where to get it.
Yeah, but tell your friends and tell 2 friends.
Yeah, exactly. And please, if you feel so inclined to give us a rating, ratings are helpful. A review is even better, but a rating is just fine. It's just one button. You click on the 5-star, or even 4 stars. That's fine. I mean, 3 stars. Let's be honest. This is probably about a 3-star show right now. But that would be great. You can find Joe at What Joe Writes. You can find me at Chris Yu. You can find the Flickcast at the Flickcast everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter,
all the socials.
All the socials, as the kids say. Don't forget to smash that like button. I don't even know what that means.
Crush the like button.
Crush the like button. We are on YouTube, by the way. You can listen to the show on YouTube. We don't do video yet because God knows no one wants to see my face and no one wants to see Joseph.
I have a face for radio.
Although I am on Twitch on Sundays, which is weird. But anyway, that's a different story. But you can, we're going to start doing video. But right now, you can listen to the show on YouTube and you can subscribe to the show on YouTube. So you can crush the like button and hit that bell for notifications. It just sounds so stupid when I say it. I am not a YouTube star, clearly.
And Patreon. Go there.
Oh, Patreon. Yeah, patreon.com/TheFlickcast if you want to support the show.
You can find all kinds of lovely pre-show stuff on there.
Exclusive content that we don't talk about. All the stuff we talk about before the show, about what we're going to talk about on the show. So it's basically the same thing. It's just in a different context.
Yeah, more of it. So.
More of it. It's extra, Joe and Chris, which is everyone needs more of that in their lives for sure.
Of course.
So, anything else that you want to say, Joe, or is that pretty much it?
No, I think I've said plenty.
You said plenty today. Yeah, definitely. So, all right, for Joe Dilworth, I'm Chris Ulrich. That was the Flickcast. Thanks for listening.